Good afternoon, my beautiful, beautiful kings and queens. I hope that this is a beautiful and a blessed afternoon for you all. So something just came to mind. It's that faith is half the battle. I know that God calls for us to have mustard seed faith, even as small as a mustard seed. Can get the job done. But I want to say that that is half the battle. We know that faith without work is dead. So you can possess the amount of faith, even as small as a mustard seed. But if you don't get up and get the work done, if you don't get up and be consistent, and you don't get up and put forth that effort, that faith is just as good as not having it. So it's not only having faith and saying, God, you promise, God, I know that you'll do. It's also putting forth the work that it takes to bring in the promise of God. If God tells you that, okay, I'm going to bless you with something, something like a house, you have to now get your ducks in alignment or your ducks in a row to show God that you have the faith. Don't just sit there and think that the house is going to drop out of the sky. Get your things in alignment. If God promises you, okay, I'm going to give you a new job, get your things in order. It's also putting the work forth that is necessary, because faith without works is dead. So you can have as much faith as you want, but until you get up and say, God, let me prove to you that I am actually ready for this blessing. God, let me show you that I am preparing myself for the vision that you have shown me. Let me show you, God, that I am putting forth my best effort to get the job done. Faith is not enough. You also have to apply the works towards the faith. And there's going to be certain times when you know that the promise is right around the corner. You are doing everything that God has orchestrated you to do or has instructed you to do, but the enemy is going to want to come in and tell you that that is not enough. The enemy is going to want to come in and tell you that the promises of God that he spoke over your life are not true. And that is the time where not only faith and works, but consistency, even when you are not seeing the promise, because a lot of times we give up when the promise is right around the corner. A lot of times we give up right before we see the thing come into manifestation. And it's like, God, I'm tired. It's like, God, I know you said this thing, but I'm not seeing it come to pass. And even in those seasons where you're not seeing the promise be fulfilled, even in those seasons where you feel like your work is in vain, even in those seasons where you feel like, okay, God, I have been putting in the work, I have been planting the seeds, when is the harvest going to come? Even in those seasons, you have to stay consistent. Even in those seasons where the ground seems dry and you're waiting on the rain to water the seeds that you have planted, stay consistent. Continue to till the soil. Continue to add nutrients to the soil. Continue to go out there and water the seed, because in due time that seed is going to spring forth. And a lot of times we don't understand that the seed has to die before it can spring forth. The seed has to germinate before it can spring forth. And all of those things, they take time, they take water, they take resources. So for a lot of you guys, it's the time that you're not putting in as the watering of the seed. For a lot of you guys, it's the effort that you're not putting in to till the soil. The blessing is right there. The blessing is held up. But God is seeing, okay, even in this drought season, are you going to do the things that are necessary to bring forth this fruit? Even in the dry season, are you going to go out there, get your bucket, get your water, and water this seed? Even when it looks like the sun is not shining, are you still gonna go out there and till to the seeds that you have planted? And I feel like in this season, that is what God is looking for. He's looking to see that, okay, I know I've promised you this. I've spoken to you, child of God, and I said to you that blessings are coming. I've spoken to you, child of God, that the latter rain is going to be greater than the former rain. But what are you doing in the meantime to prepare for the rain? What are you doing in the meantime to prepare for the harvest in which I have promised you? Are you just sitting around folding your hands and waiting for the blessing to come? Or are you doing the things that are necessary, not only to get the blessing, but to maintain the blessing? Because the maintenance of the blessing is just as, or should take just as much effort as getting the blessing itself. Because we often cry out and say, God, oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. But when he enlarges your territory, are you going to be prepared? Are you going to do the things that are necessary to keep the territory? And that's what the faith without works is. The faith without works is just saying, bless me. The faith without works is just saying, okay, gimme, gimme, gimme. But when you put in the works, it's actually showing the God that not only did I pray for the blessing, not only am I prepared for the blessing, but now I'm also prepared to take care of the blessing that you have given me. I'm also prepared to nurture the soil so that my crop can be plentiful. I'm also prepared to nurture, to water, to till the soil, so that way I will increase my harvest. So it's not just enough to pray for it. It's not just enough to say, God, gimme, gimme, gimme. How are you going to maintain this blessing that you are so praying for? How are you going to be able to maintain that which you are crying for? Are you prepared mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally for that which you are asking for? Are you simply asking because it looks good? Are you simply asking to say, I have? And that's the thing. We're praying, we're crying out. But when God actually opens the floodgates of heaven and allows our seed to spring forth, can we maintain it? When we are praying, when we're crying and saying, God, I'm tired of, living in an apartment. When God blesses you with that house, will you maintain it? When you say, God, I'm tired of working for somebody, give me a business. When God blesses you with the business, will you maintain it? And I think we've all have been guilty. And you say hindsight is 20/20. We've prayed for things, we cried out for things, and then when we get these things, we don't put in the legwork that is necessary to be able to maintain them. We don't put in the legwork that is necessary to be able to show God that, God, I appreciate this blessing. A lot of people are crying out for spouses, and then when you get the spouse, you run after the spouse, you obtain the spouse, and then when you get the spouse, you forget about the spouse. So you're crying out for things, but are you able to maintain them? You're crying, God, give me a better car, but when you get the car, are you going to care the car? Are you going to take it for oil changes? Are you going to do what you are supposed to do? And getting the blessing is half of the work. Faith is half of the work. You got to put in the work that is necessary. You have to show God that, Lord, I thank you for the blessings. God, I thank you for bestowing them. Now let me be a good steward to these blessings. Let me be found faithful with the blessings that you are giving me. I myself included, I've had a lot of things where I feel like, Lord, I prayed for it, I cried out for it, but when I got it, maybe I didn't do as I was supposed to do. So now when God restores you, anointed one, and when God gives you what it is that maybe you lost in a prior season, when God gives you what it is that maybe the enemy came and stole from you, maybe the enemy sowed terrible seeds amongst what it is that you were growing. And this time when God gives you another chance to plant the crop, when God gives you another chance to water your harvest, make sure that you don't repeat the same mistakes twice. Make sure that you are learning from your past and not bringing it into the newness that God has given you. Make sure that after your harvest, that not only do you continue to plant seeds, you still have to tend to that garden. So a lot of people think that, okay, once I get what I want, that's it, the crop. No, you have to prepare again for another crop. You have to prepare again for another harvest. So when you reap the corn from the first harvest, there will be a second harvest. So you still have to tend to that ground, even though you have already reaped your reward. You still have to go back in that field, and you still have to till. You still have to go back in that field. You still have to, clear the weeds. You still have to go back in that field, and you still have to water the crop. You still got to go back in that field and make sure that the crop that is now springing forth is healthy. The crop that is now springing forth is doing good. So a lot of people get their harvest and they forget about the ground. A lot of people get their harvest and they carry their harvest off. Wow, what a big harvest, what a big harvest. But you forget that the ground is still there. You forget that the ground was depleted and you now have to put nutrients in that ground. That's why you constantly have to be in a state of renewing your mind daily, because that old harvest, it took out the nutrients. So you now have to put in more nutrients. You now have to feed that soil. You now have to feed the new you that you are becoming. That old you is not going to be sufficient. You now have to feed this new individual that you are coming or becoming. You now have to feed the new mindset that you have. That old you took the harvest of that old you. Now you are becoming a different person, and this faith that God is giving you is going to require even more work. We want the bigger blessings, but you don't want to do the work that it takes to maintain this big blessing. We're crying out for more, more, more. God, give me, give me, give me, bless me, bless me, bless me. Are you going to be able to maintain the blessing of the more? Are you going to be able to keep the harvest of this new crop that you are planting? You got your harvest already. You guys have gotten your harvest from the last yield. Now, this yield requires special attention. This yield is going to require for you to get out there in the sun and in the rain and the snow, and it's going to require for you to do the work necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Many days you get up and you may have aches, pains, you may have, like you just don't want to do it. You honestly don't want to do it, but you prayed for this. You cried out to God for this. A lot of you guys are living in dreams or in the vision. You guys are actually living in the vision. So don't mess this up. A lot of you guys have cried out to God on numerous occasions. God, if you get me out of this, God, I'll do this. God, if you just let this pass, God, I'll do this. And God did get you out of it. God did let it pass, but you're not holding on to the end of your bargain. You're not upholding your end. God got you out of the situation, but yet you're not doing the work to stay out of the situation. God blessed you with bigger and better, but you're not doing the work to maintain bigger and better. So in this season, God is calling for more than just faith. You have to add works to it. And when you add the works to it, this is when your harvest will yield. If you leave a garden out there, sure, you're still going to yield, because there's going to be the rain, there's going to be the sun, but it comes different when you actually tend to the garden. It comes different when you actually go out there and strategically cut. When you actually go out there and strategically prune, that harvest is going to come in so much more plentiful, rather than if you just sat there and let Mother Nature take its course. Because you actually went out there, you did the work, you actually pulled up the weeds, you actually saw when something was getting overgrown, or you actually saw when something needed to be pruned. And because you pruned in such a way, now your harvest is going to be larger. Don't get me wrong, the harvest will still come if you don't do anything, but it comes in so much more plentiful when you are more paying more attention to what needs to be done in that garden. You are in your garden season, and God requires that you tend to the garden. God requires that you prune it, that you go out there and pick out the weeds, that you go and pull out the bugs, that you go and pull out the palmer worm and the cankerworm, that you go out there and not only pull it out, but you also have to speak life. Speak life unto the garden. I'm big on words. I'm big on speaking the things that are not as though they were. Because we know, like I said before, that life and death is in the power of the tongue. Life and death lies on the tip of your tongue. So speak life when you're out there pruning the garden. Speak life over the next harvest. When you're out there mulching it, speak life over it. It's not enough to just have the faith, oh, the rain is gonna come, I don't have to go out there and water the crop. The wind is gonna blow, I don't have to go out there and manually pull the weeds. No, you actually gotta go and do the work. You have to do the work, and I'm learning myself plenty of times, like especially when you are just a person that the blessings flow into you. You can get lazy when those blessings just automatically come, when those blessings are something that you automatically expect, like, oh, I'm blessed, I'm highly favored, yes, I get things easy, yes, the presence of the Lord is with me, he always replenishes, and that he does. But when you just get it so easily and you don't have to struggle for it and you don't have to go through anything for it, you become very complacent with the blessings. You become very nonchalant about the blessings. So sometimes God has to light the fire underneath you in order for you to say, okay, I got to get back to doing what I used to do. I got to get back and do the things the way that the Lord has asked me to do, because you guys got so comfortable in the blessing, you got so comfortable in the flow, that God had to kind of shake the nest a little bit. Just like when the mother eagle is trying to train the eaglet to fly, that mother eagle is going to make the nest uncomfortable. She's going to put more sticks, she's going to ruffle it a little bit, because she wants the eaglet to go forth and to fly. So this too is where a lot of you guys were. You guys were so used to getting the manna. You guys were so used to getting the blessings, so used to getting the abundance, that God came in and he stripped that from you. God came in and he ruffled the nest a little bit. But don't worry, it's because he wants to teach you how to fly. God wants to teach you in this season that even if I push you, don't worry, the air is going to catch you. Even if I push you out of the nest, the wind will make provision and swoop you up, and you'll be able to make it to your destination. So when things are getting a little rough, when things are getting a little tough, just know that God is testing you to see if the faith that you have, will you now apply the works to it. When God pulls on your finances, God is saying, okay, you're so used to having it this way. You are so used to this flow, this constant flow and this constant abundance. If I pull back just a little bit, show me how now you will be able to maintain your finances. If you're so used to living at a certain standard of life, and God says, okay, I'm going to ruffle this nest a little bit, I'm going to shake your foundation a little bit. God is testing to see if the faith that you have in him, will you now apply the faith and incorporate works. So not everything that comes in as a disruption is a bad thing. Not everything that comes in to disrupt your flow is a bad thing. God sometimes allows the disruption in the flow in order to train you and in order to stretch your faith and to see if you are going to apply the works to the faith. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful and a blessed day. And remember, always, always be kind.